What's up, everyone? All right, so this is going to be a difficult episode for you to listen to. It's a hard one for me to record. As you can tell, I'm under the weather. This is something that I struggle with a lot with my voices because I do a lot of speaking, of course, naturally, streaming and everything else. So let's go ahead and jump on the screen share. I'm going to start breaking down my trades from this morning. I'm sitting right now up over $40,000 on the day. Being under the weather is not going to stop me from showing up and trading when we've got hot momentum, and we certainly had it today. The name of the game today was Chinese small caps, and we had two yesterday that did initial public offerings. So, I don't usually follow IPOs. In fact, usually I don't do particularly well on day one of an IPO, but these gave some of you guys who were around yesterday afternoon some great opportunities. So DGNX, that's the first stock we're going to break down. I'm up $22,907 on it, up over $41,000 on the day. So DGNX IPOs yesterday, it's got a relatively low float. And the thing with IPOs is that whatever the reported float is, the actual number of tradable shares is always going to be lower. This is kind of interesting because the IPO, well, it's not the initial coin offering of Trump coin, for those of you guys that followed that. The total number of shares is 1 billion, but they've only released 200 million onto the market so far. Actually, I heard it was only 100, but in any case, you can double check that. But and the remaining 80% is held by Trump right now. So even though it, in theory, has a float that will be 1 billion, right now, effectively, it's a fraction of that because those are the number of shares that are freely available to trade on the market. And there's something similar that happens with IPOs. These companies IPO, and the number of shares that are actually available to trade is much less than the float because insiders are locked up. They're not able to sell. Institutional traders that may have acquired shares through the IPO also may not be able to sell. And so the result is that the stock may say that it's got a higher float, slightly higher float, when in fact it's actually quite low. So DGNX, I'll jump onto BAM SEC here. So Chinese stock, DGNX, I believe it's Hong Kong. So let's see, registration of securities. No, that's not what I was looking for. I'm going to look at the F1. So based out of Hong Kong, yes, as you can see right here. And this is a company, this is their proposed offering for 2.25 million shares. So it really is a very low float. The number of shares are very limited. Let's look at the underwriter real quick. So Control F, underwriter. Name of the underwriter, Dominari Securities. All right, so that's not one I'm super familiar with, but let's just go ahead and check it here. So I'm going to do a screening, all companies search, Dominari, and let's just see what other companies they've been associated with. UMAC, we're familiar with that. SYTA, JUNS, that was one. DBGI, that's one I'm familiar with. So now you see, okay, this is a company that, an underwriter that has a history of doing IPOs on these smaller cap stocks. So they know what they're doing. It's not their first rodeo. So DGNX IPOs yesterday, at probably a optimal time in a lot of ways. Market sentiment is strong. Small cap traders are looking for volatility, and it halts up immediately, but on light volume. And it IPOs at 2 p.m., and then all of a sudden at 4 p.m., it's squeezing up, halts right into the close, resumes, pushes higher, and after hours, it peaks up around 18. Pre-market around 4 a.m., we get this spike up to 24. It dips down right here, and I took my first trade on it right here as it curled up at about 7 a.m. This was a little bit of a risky trade, and I acknowledged that. I was like, this is risky, but this is what I'm looking at. This is our number one leading gainer in the market. It clearly shows range, volatility, and that's what I like. It's under VWAP right now. It popped up, it pulled back, it popped up, it pulled back. And right here, as it started to break away, I jumped in. It ended up going from about $15.50 and going all the way up to $20 a share, almost $5. So this is what gave me the confidence to punch it on that trade. So on that trade, just before I jumped in, I was looking at the bid, and it was like $15. And I was looking at the ask, and it was $15.70. And I was like, wow, that's a 70-cent spread. I can't really jump on that right now. And then all of a sudden, a bidder jumped up at 1540, and it was 6,000 shares. And when I saw that, and as it so happened, the ask dropped down to about 1555. And when I saw this big bidder, I thought, you know what? Someone wants to buy this, and I'm going to cut in front of them. I'm going to go ahead and buy right at 1555. They're trying to buy on the bid. They're being patient, but they're signaling their hat to the market, their hand. They're showing their hand to the market, tipping their hat, so to speak, that they want to buy this number of shares. Now, that's not an insignificant position. It's a $100,000 position. So I went ahead and bought right in front of them at 1555, a starter position. I only bought 1,000 shares to start, but then I added as it squeezed higher. And next thing you know, this thing is squeezing right here on this candle in 1 minute from 1550 to 1575 to 16. I add for the break of VWAP, and all of a sudden we're at 18. Then we're at 19, we're at 20, and boom, right there, I'm in the green. So that was an awesome first trade. It dips down, and I started doing dip trades with smaller share size, but just buying the dip, selling the pop, buying the dip, selling the pop. And I got a couple of nice dip trades on it. But then it kind of pulled back a little bit more, as you can see right here. Dipped below VWAP, and then at the open, gave another squeeze higher, and I traded it again at the open. So, and on the open, it was a dip and a rip on resumption from a halt. So we had a halt, and I bought the dip, and then it ripped up. So I got a few trades on this and locked up $22,000, which was a really solid start. So now I'm in the green, and I'm looking for my next trade. So since DGNX IPO'd yesterday, someone in the chat said, hey, did you know that DXST also IPO'd yesterday and is also a Chinese stock? And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, shoot. So I pulled it up and I said, guys, it was currently at about $6 by $6.50. And I said, you know, I think I'm going to take a starter of this, but I want to see the volume just improve a little bit. It's a little light right now, and the spreads are a little big. And unfortunately, what ended up happening was it just kind of just rips. It went immediately up to 650, 750, 8, and goes all the way up to 14. So I jumped on it, but I chased it. Now, in a market that's hot, where you've got heightened volatility, you can get away with chasing these. And today I did. I got away with it. But it's a risky strategy. I wouldn't have done it if we hadn't just had the big move on DGNX, but because of that big move, I decided to take the risk. And so we ended up getting the squeeze from 750, 850, all the way up to 14. It pulls back. We get a dip off VWAP. It bounces back up to 12. It pulls back. And I did a dip trade here, and I actually lost about $3,000 on it, came back down. So I was like, shoot, that's kind of a bummer. Then it comes back up here, back up to about 8, and then it pulls back, as you can see. So, so I'm a little mixed on this. Kind of more or less, you could say a round trip. I mean, yes, it gave volatility, but it didn't hold up. DGNX, on the other hand, did hold up. Both of these Chinese IPOs. DGNX. And then we had MIMI, MIMI, which is also a Chinese IPO. And this one I jumped on and narrowly avoided a loss. It popped up, it flushed down. I added way down here. It bounces back up, and I was like, whoa, okay, that was a close call. Let's ease off the throttle a little bit, and let's see what holds up. So I started to slow down, and at that point, DGNX was the one that was holding up, so I was happy to trade that at the open. But we also got news on SPCB, not a Chinese IPO, but a stock with breaking news. The news came out that the company issued shares to pay off $4.37 million of outstanding debt. But they issued the shares at a price of $43.70 a share, which is crazy. So it goes from $14 to $21 a share. It goes up 7 points. So I rode the momentum on that one, although it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I did take some trades on it. I didn't take this trade here. It popped, it dropped, it ripped back up, dipped, and I got in right there and rode this next leg higher. And it's continuing to hold up relatively well. So today was a little bit tricky. S&P 500 right now is in good shape. You know, we've got a tailwind right now. Looking at the next resistance level up around here, we may pull back for a moment before we test that level, but nonetheless, the overall market is giving us a bit of a tailwind, since the inauguration, which is good. And even though I'm certainly under the weather, I'm trying to ride the momentum, and we are getting some momentum. So I'm going to show up every day. I'll be here tomorrow. And, we may not get as much action tomorrow as we did today. It kind of depends on how some of these stocks close today. But, we'll just look at this DWTX. The son of a gun, look at that. Oh my goodness, from 350 up to 450 to 550 to 6 to 7. So no doubt, some of you guys, I missed this completely. Got some nice trades on that. Nice pullback. That's beautiful to see. It's a biotech, not a Chinese stock though, I don't think. No, it's a U.S. company. So a little outside the sector. And then look at that topping tail, right? So you just have to be careful. And I'm sure there are traders who will trade this alongside and will still lose money. There will be traders who short it, who lose money, and traders who make money. It's difficult. This can be tricky stuff. So anyways, I'm a little bummed I missed that. I was kind of watching that one earlier too, because I saw it on my scans moving up down here, but I was like, I don't know, kind of tricky action, and it popped up a couple days ago and reversed. But today, a little more FOMO in the market, a little stronger sentiment. So anyways, congratulations if you locked up a green day. It looks like I might have left a little profit on the table, but I'm walking away with more money in my pocket than I had about 4 hours ago. So that's always a good day. And if you want to watch over my shoulder, as always, while I'm trading, I'll give you the link for the 2-week trial, pin it to the top of the comments in the description so you can check that out. And I also have a free day trading class. It's an intro to day trading class that you guys could watch if you want to learn a bit more of the details and the nuances of my strategy, my 5 criteria for stock selection, where I get in, where I get out, and so on. So thanks as always for tuning in. I'm sorry that I'm not with a better voice for you today. I don't think it'll be a lot better tomorrow, but hopefully by Monday I'll be feeling better. A reminder, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical. I've been doing this for a long time, so always manage your risk and practice in a simulator before putting real money on the line. And I'll see you for the next episode real soon.